start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Commissioner Wilkinson?
Here.
Commissioner Desjardins?
Here.
Commissioner Byrd?
Here.
Commissioner Prunick?
Here.
Mayor Barry? Here. Okay, item B, public comment, 4 minutes.
If there's nobody else. I want to take this opportunity to make a public apology, a formal public apology to the City Commission, the staff, the County Board of Commissioners, and the Sheriff's Department for a comment I made at the last meeting. We were discussing economic development and the county's role in economic development, and I made a comment. Actually, I repeated something I had heard that very day, that the Alger County Animal Control Officer made $85,000 a year. It was told to me by a person I've known my whole life, a person I trust, a person who had knowledge of the subject, and I did not exercise any critical thinking or my good judgment when I repeated that at a city commission meeting from behind the dais. Words matter. A couple of days after that, I was taken to task, politely and appropriately, by a colleague with first-hand knowledge of the subject, and I was corrected. And I got to thinking about it, and not only did I make a foolish comment, not only did I not check the veracity of information that I was given, but the comment was reckless, and it was disparaging to the county board and the sheriff's department, and it was disrespectful to the city commission and the city staff. Words matter, and what we say, especially from behind this dais, and also out in public, people assume we speak from authority because we are elected officials. So there's 3 things you do. Well, first of all, I'm amazed, not amazed, but I'm embarrassed that at this age I can still make stupid mistakes like that. And in retrospect, and with the clarity of hindsight, I realized that was a ridiculous figure to begin with, and I should have questioned it before I repeated it. And there's 3 things you do when you make a mistake like that. First, you admit it, you own it. I did it, it was stupid, it was wrong. Then you apologize for it, and I am truly sorry that I said it. And then if you can, you make it right. And in this case, I can make it right by correcting it and saying, I can say unequivocally that the Alger County Animal Shelter, or the Animal Control Officer, does not make $85,000 a year. But there's a 4th lesson, or there's a 4th thing you can do, and that's to take the lesson. Words matter. What we say as elected officials carry more weight than when it's spoken by a citizen. And what we say from the dais can easily be construed, because it is, as speaking on behalf of the city commission, or at least one member. This continues when we're in public, and it continues on social media. George Washington once said that when you take up the soldier, you do not lay aside the citizen. When you're an elected official, you do not give up your rights to free speech. And anybody who follows me on Facebook knows that I am incredibly critical of the federal government, as I have a right to be. But whenever I discuss city business, I will tell myself to measure my words carefully and make sure information that I relate to the public is factual, and to differentiate my personal opinions from my position as a city commissioner. And that's all I got to say about that. That, and I stole your pen.
Well said.
Anybody else?
Well said.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, hearing none. Item C, consent agenda. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Desjardins to approve the consent agenda. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. New business, city manager report. Anybody have any questions regarding that?
Did you address the agenda topics?
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. That's right, I totally glazed over that. Let's do the city manager's report, and then, I'll do that.
One thing on the city manager's report says, would the city commission like to continue to receive info on SRTS program? I would.
I would too.
I'm sorry?
Is that it?
Yeah, that was the only thing I
I
had.
have
I'm
one
sorry.
comment on water and sewer rates. We typically approve those as part of the fee schedule, when we adopt the fee schedule.
Agreed. I guess there's the methodology behind having that discussion now is there could be a large change, so I'd rather do that ahead of time and do some prep before we roll that out,
Okay,
if that's the direction that we go.
all right.
I had a question on the contract language updates for Ray Anderson.
Yeah.
Is he working without a contract? What is the relation? Is he just not working at all, or that hasn't worked?
Basically, I think we gave him $5,000 to do his thing. He is retired and working slowly on it, so, I haven't gotten anything back from him, but I also haven't prodded him too hard.
Are we paying him slowly too?
He has not sent us a bill yet.
Okay.
But if you want me to get on that, I sure can, but I have not.
It's weird when we have situations where we have work with a contractor and then it's not set in place first, because then you just don't know what's going on. I mean, obviously Ray has our trust and everything, but, you know,
Yeah, we gave him a
transition.
$5,000
Yeah.
limit not to exceed.
No, I'm good with that then.
Okay. All right, I don't think we need, well, I suppose we do
Move
need
we
to
approve.
approve it. Yep.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Birch, to approve the city manager's report as presented. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And I meant to do this at the beginning, thanks Bryce for reminding me. I would entertain a motion to add 3 items to the bottom of the agenda. Those being item 12, the Anderson Tackman engagement letter, item 13, the Marina policy, and number 14, to go off of your email, Bob, to discuss the roundtable concept. Somebody want to make
I move we add those 3 agenda items.
Support.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wernick, to add items 12, 13, and 14 to the agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, on to item 3, Pullman Engineering General Updates. Kelly, you're up.
We have 4th of July.
Jeez, where am I at?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You had a 2-second thing, so you're done at 3, so.
Okay. Oh, man, all right, I'm 4th of July, Sean.
Yeah, so I'm here on behalf of the 4th of July Committee as the president to see if the city commission would entertain one of 2 options for us to figure out our storage solution. Today, we have stuff in people's houses, pole barns, up at the orchard in a trailer that's 2 flat tires, and we have to fix that. Some of the 2 thoughts that I have are, if we were to put a temporary building on Native land, which they have said we could, and then we would then need access from the end of Memorial Drive to the fence line across the city property. That's one. The other possible solution, once the snow kind of melts, is actually put either a temporary or permanent, whatever the commission would allow us to do, at the end of it and face it in a north-south environment. By looking at the offsets or the setbacks, we can do the front no problem, because that's 50 feet, we're a long ways away from that. The front we'd be able to make it because we could push it back accordingly. I believe the right one we could hit. I believe we're gonna run into trouble with the left. And the left would be such that the edge of the building, whether permanent or temporary, would abut next to the pavement. So those are 2 things I want to throw out. I'm not looking for a yes or no. I would be interested in, if we were able to work through that with the zoning commission, with the planning commission, would you entertain one of those 2 if we work through the paperwork and the liability insurance and all this other stuff? Because if we can't, and I need to go buy a new trailer because the situation we're in is just not sustainable. And I don't know if anybody's ever brought this to the commission before.
No. I have a couple of questions. John.
That's interesting.
Can you, what are you storing in there? Are you storing year round?
No, we would store everything other than rounds. There would be no fireworks. The only explosive that might be in there would be 2 gallons of gas that's sitting in the train.
So where are you, we're gonna store your fireworks?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
I haven't killed it yet.
So is the stuff that you need to get in and out, can you do a right turn to get it in and out?
Yes.
Okay, and have you talked to the railroad?
No.
Because they have expansive rights of way down there.
Into the city property, their right of way extends into the city properties?
I don't know. I know they have very wide right of ways.
Based on what I've seen on GIS, we would not impose upon that.
Michelle, can you check on that, please? 'Cause
No, valid.
the railroad is like God as far as.
Right.
Well, that's another tenet as to why I would like to find something to where I'm not parking a semi-trailer on the railroad land
Sure.
for a week.
Yeah.
Because if we miss that exit date, they're not happy.
So you wouldn't store any explosives there?
Absolutely not.
Did you have any questions?
No, I was just making, I heard it wrong.
Can the crowd ask a question? Or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious from the
Yeah.
DPW standpoint, as far as access, because we stockpile snow
Yes.
down there, and sometimes it's May before that snow is gone. Would that hinder you at all of like trying to get in or not?
That would not be an issue. The one thing that we would have to do is a utility locate, because I don't know if there's anything down there, right, underneath it, whether it's sewer, water.
Yeah, there's a storm sewer that runs right.
So we have to pay attention to that, make sure that we're, within the bounds of that.
If you were to put up a 16 by 40 building, do you have the funds for it? Or are you looking for funds for it?
No, there should be no cost to the city.
Just looking for permission, I think.
Looking for permission to basically go and investigate it. The funding itself would be separate from the 4th of July normal fundraising. I have several people that are willing they want to start a 250 infrastructure fund to where we'll set up a complete separate funding and try and eventually, maybe 50 years down the road, 4th of July celebration becomes, self-fulfilling based on dividends and interest and maybe some net gains from an investment point of view, versus always going to the businesses over and over and over and over and over. It's a pretty big stretch, but when I got the first phone call and they told me the amount that they wanted to put into the fund, I was like, I could probably do 15 more of these phone calls and we might be able to get there.
So basically, just looking for some sort of approval from us to move forward to go through the planning commission and zoning. I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, this is just preliminary, it's giving you the nod to do the research, correct?
Yeah, because I'd hate to do all the research and everybody
Yeah.
agrees to come back here and they're like,
I have no objection to it,
No, I love it, I think you guys.
as long as it's
should
an
have something
attractive
easy, what you
pair
have
of
now.
containers.
Yeah.
well, there won't be containers. So I learned this today. There are no containers anywhere in the city of Minnesota, whether it's on Matisse land or not. So, then the structure cannot split between Matisse land and Minnesota land, so it has to sit on one side or the other. There are acceptable building materials for exterior and roof that are already defined that we would conform to.
I guess the one thing that I would just kind of add to the other comments is that this is going to be really close to the city's most prominent memorial.
Yes.
And I know that I don't have to tell you guys to respect it, but when we start talking about like roads, like, like just having a random gravel path on the backside of this that could distract from a memorial that people work so hard for, I think, just take a little bit extra caution with that. Because the aesthetic aspect of it too, when you're downtown in that area, I know that the railways and the Matisse land, we don't really have a lot of control over, but this is one that we still do a little bit, so.
And that was part of my reason for the initial, which was put it on the Matisse land, because then the front of it would abut to the fence. So then you won't have that pushing in against the memorial. That was my original reason to try and get it on the T land, is to actually take that away from the memorial and put it on the other side. Because then we can maintain more trees up to the side and that whole piece. Now, that's a big lift on the Mativ side, but I got a pretty good conversation going there as well, so I'm just trying to hit it from both sides, but I absolutely concur with your concern.
But besides that, I think it's a good plan. I mean, obviously, you guys need something down there, and, you know, change is always kind of weird for small towns sometimes, but, you know, just throwing in that little bit of extra point to make sure that it is included in the respect factor, I think is
Absolutely.
part of relevancy for the ask, if it's a good idea part now.
I guess entertain a motion to approve moving forward with 4th of July storage plans.
It's pretty vague.
Well,
Do we
somebody
need-
else can make the motion.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to word it.
Do we need a motion technically?
Well, a blessing
Do
of
you
some
need
sort to
do you
move.
need action, Sean?
I think you'd probably like it.
I mean, I would like it, but I don't need it just because I
I mean, we
think
can't do
that
anything
everybody
binding
here-
tonight without looking at plans.
Yeah, I
or
don't plan on
anything.
any approval. It's just, you know,
Right.
if we were to work through all the steps, is there a willingness to consider?
I think the city commission
Yeah.
in general is in favor of it.
Okay,
100%.
that's all I need. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And I would think the planning commission is,
Yeah.
would be, you know.
But you'll do all the heavy lifting and.
We'll do
all that.
Yeah,
We'll
take
do
it
all
back
that
to us.
stuff.
You never know what the planning comes.
Says, I know it.
All right, item number
Whoa.
3 now.
Thanks,
Moment
Sean.
engineering general updates. Kelly, now you're up.
Everyone, Commission have?
Yes, we do. And an addendum.
Yep, we're gonna work our way through one by one. So first item's campground bathroom. Not a whole lot to report there. The feedback we got from Mr. Garapi, project's on track. No issues there, no cost overruns or anything, so project is on budget and on schedule. Campground high sodium, working on the RFQ process. I'll be honest, I don't think that's actually started from our end at this point, but it's on the list of items to take care of. Washington Street, got a few updates on that one. We've gotten all of our stream crossing permits for that project now. Working on, I was hoping to have the cost estimate at this stage for you guys tonight. I don't have it yet. A couple big items still hanging out there. I need a revised estimate for the booster station and the lift station. But quality takeoff is complete, and I'd say roughly 3/4 of the project has cost associated with it right now, but I can't come to you with a final number yet. I think the other major ones beyond that is finalizing the signage and painting plan for the project, pretty close on that. I've got one more person conducting a review. I'd expect in the next couple of weeks I'll be filing the water construction permit with Eagle. And soon thereafter, once the lift station's finalized, filing the Part 41. We are still working through the property transfer. Right now, I can't proceed with some of the USD items till that portion is resolved. And I believe your attorney is working on that item now. Beyond that, I guess any questions from the council on that project? That's kind of the biggest one we've got coming up.
No, I have a question or one back to campground high sodium issue.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a cost estimate to put in a treatment facility.
That's the purpose of the,
Right.
yeah. that's
How
what-
hard is it or expensive is it to get a cost estimate to put a liner in that service line that comes from the tank? Like, I don't know, what would you need to serve the tourist park, 4 inches?
Well, it's a long run is the issue. You have to,
It's a long ways.
you have to cut that main open in order to add something to it on quite a few locations, and that's extremely steep, right?
Just the beginning of it.
Okay.
It's exposed about 6-8 times to the drill.
Okay,
I mean, it would be the cost of the pipe and the cost of installing it if it's comparable to putting in a treatment facility, or a treatment module, or whatever you would call it.
We can look at that. I think that was brought up.
I hate to think we
previously.
wasted money drilling those wells, but
Is the liner gonna take care of the sodium problem?
No, this would be.
a
There's an
liner, so
existing
we
line.
could take water from our tank and send it to the tourist park.
Right.
There's an old line there now, but it's aged out, but this would be like a minor rehab to that existing line and then abandoning the wells.
It's what, it's a 10-inch line,
14.
14,
Which is an oddball.
cast iron?
I have
Probably.
asked every supplier that I have come in contact with on possibility of getting parts if something happens to that main, and nobody's ever heard of it.
That's serving the tourist park right now, right? With 14-inch main, they don't need,
Well, it was put in because the
It was an
tourist park was
intake.
feeding the city.
I know.
But They were just using it in reverse. right
Does it
now.
leak?
No, not yet, but
Yeah.
But would 4 inches be enough to serve the
I
tourist
don't.
park?
I doubt it. You won't have but a trickle if you go that far on a 4-inch.
8 inches?
Yeah, maybe 6 it might make it, I don't know. That's
Anyway.
an engineering question.
It seems to me it would be a much easier fix, but then again, we would have wasted
I
money
did.
drilling those wells.
Question that before about just pulling, instead of trying to bore it, just like pull an HDPE inside of it.
That's what I'm thinking.
They don't like that, it doesn't work because there's movement and it wears it through.
So that would take, that you would do that instead of an RO system or UV system or whatever?
Yeah, you can try it, but just the pipe alone is gonna be more than.
Keep 'em on city water.
Probably. It's a mile and a half.
I gotta do some research on the options of doing that.
Would you?
I've honestly never done that before.
Are you familiar with that line?
To a certain extent, yes. Enough to know.
But you'd be
It's
better off to
problematic.
bore a new line alongside of the existing rather than through it.
Really?
I'm gonna let Kelly continue unless you have more questions.
I'm
We're
sorry.
starting to get in the weeds.
Sorry,
Fair. I'll come back with some answers on that. though.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
you have more questions?
No.
No more questions on Washington Street? Okay. TMF grant, Ron and I actually just met today to mark up some mapping so we can do the final GIS update, so I'm hoping, the next 4 to 6 weeks, that project will be wrapped up completely and done with. Non-motorized asset management plan. I think we're waiting on commission to decide if they're gonna adopt that thing. Okay. So, no major updates on that then. Lead service line replacement project, that is the most expedited project we're working on with you guys right now. We just submitted the SHPO documents to Eagle. The only deadline we have left with them that's of any critical importance at this time is the final plans and specs due on the 16th. We've already gotten their comments back and made all the corrections. They're basically ready to go other than the meeting we're having yet this week to finalize a couple of the service locations, but that project's ready to go.
How did SHPO get in this loop?
Part of the funding. So the federal funds that funded the SRF program involved SHPO.
And it requires an on-site archaeologist,
It sure does.
What is SHPO again?
State Historic Preservation
Oh,
Office.
So they call those the federal crosscutters. There's quite a few of them. They have to reach out to tribal entities and some different environmental items. There's
Makes my head. hurt.
Michigan Endangered Species Review. There's quite a few of those to go through.
We're gonna talk about the bonding for this project later.
Yeah, so I take it you caught the cliff note of the engineering amendment for on-site archaeological monitoring, and I did want to bring that up. There's basically 2 paths that we come up with. When we applied for this, there was no archaeological monitoring included. We've not run into that here. I personally have only ever run into this in St. Ignace because they found so many archaeological artifacts there. So anytime we did a project, we always had to have it. Nowhere else in the UP have I ever run into this.
So technically, if we started digging up somebody's lateral to replace it and discovered some arrowheads, they could shut the project down.
They would tell them to stop digging until they could do their assessment, and that's what the on-site archaeologist is there to do. For a lead service line project, not as major of an interruption, they'll just go to a new address, right? Washington Street is where you don't want these problems. That's a big mainline crew, heavy digging, and then to just stop working.
Yeah.
So where I was headed with that, $40,000 to $50,000 is the estimate I have right now. I can't get a true number out of the archaeologist until we establish our final scope. At that point, we only really came up with two options to get this in the project and funded through the project, and that's either make it the contractor's problem or make it the engineer's problem. And it really didn't make sense to have it under the contractor, because now we lose full control on when the archaeologist is gonna be there. If it goes through Coleman, we just treat it as another professional service. I've already wrote a special provision, and I'll list out the addresses that they're required to do this under, and we'll give them a time limit. So you will dig ones affected by this during this time period. We will supply you with an on-site archaeologist for that period. If you do it outside that, it's your cost now.
It's a good gig for an archaeologist.
$1,500 a day.
Yeah.
Are you aware that's the location of the old tannery down where you're gonna be?
Yep.
You know, there's lots of bones down there.
There's lots of, yes, that is on a big map we got back from the ship.
Just so you're aware.
Yep, I appreciate that.
So you're gonna run into bones.
So with that being said, once we can finalize that, I would plan on coming back to the commission before we get to the final application with Eagle and propose an engineering amendment to our contract to add in those services. And beyond that, HDR contract for the park service, we've been in contact with the city and Pullman a few times, just looking for some standards for the project.
I got a question on that too. Do you know where the booster station is gonna be located?
We selected a preliminary location when we met with them prior. I don't remember the streets on. There's a small city,
Oh, you're thinking of by High Street, right by the end of the street?
I forget the name of the road, but
That's
we
the
always
last
on
one.
High Street? Okay.
Oh, right where you start? Okay. That makes sense.
There was some property available there that they could utilize. But really, nothing of any concern to the city at this point related to those projects. Boat access site project, I did want to go through, and that's where you got your additional item in there tonight. So I did notify the DNR that we're on hold on the project. They have no issues with that. He did kindly mention to me that since you're delaying the project, that you're not gonna be too eager to extend additional funding as the prices will go up.
You know, we're delaying the project because it's more expensive than we anticipated.
Wheeler does support the concept of revamping what's already there. They're on board with that plan. They're quite familiar with your launch. So what you have in front of you, excuse me, is, I call it the contact product, but that's the manufacturer of that block with the wire through it. I was talking about the last time I was here. So the first option on there is basically the project as Coleman inherited, which was just extending what was already there and then replacing the docks with the contact product. So that's not doing anything with what's already out there, just making it bigger. And that came in a little over your available funding. The second option was just to kind of see what would it really take if we demoed the whole thing and put only that contact product in there, and we got quite a bit over the budget with that one. So then I looked at the CIP being cast in place concrete, so that would, they'd still have to dam that off and de-water. They demo what's there, do the extension, but build it out of the cast in place concrete versus the contact product. That was still over budget, but you're getting a lot more at that point than just leaving what's there and adding some contact product. And the last two, I didn't give like the full cost breakdown associated with them, but it's basically demo what's there and replace it with cast in place concrete. And the small extension was just a few feet off one side and make it a little deeper so that you could have 3 docks versus the 2. So that's 3 new docks. Little extension, I believe I went west with it, a little bit deeper in the lake, and you're well within budget with that one. And then the final one was to just see if we demoed and replaced it with that contact product. You're very, very close to your budget limit at this point with my estimate, so. At this point, like you had requested, we'll pause on the project, keep an eye on how things are proceeding down there. But this was just kind of give you some time to mull over what's available for your given budget and how you might want to proceed later.
Anybody have any other questions?
I'm looking at wastewater treatment plant upgrade budget, $137,211.
That's the study, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And that would be a question for the manager. Is that, it, or the treasurer, is that in this year's budget?
Part of $40,000
Okay.
is
Oh, that's right.
So the balance, a very specific amount, would be in next year's budget.
lead shape.
I know where, I assume where it would come from.
So the update I was gonna give you on that is Coleman and HDR are working through our contracts for sub-agreements and prime contracts. The schedule for that would be to hold the kickoff meeting in late April, early May, and start that process, so. It's coming, but not quite here yet. And basically the projects I have to review with you. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right. On to the bills. Okay, item number 4, Coleman Engineering 2026 lead service line replace invoice for $13,733.25. And thank you, Michelle, for putting notes on the back.
That's
It's not my
Kelly.
turn.
13 what?
That's Kelly for you.
It's not my turn.
Give me your turn.
I did in the last meeting, I moved, we pay them all one at a time, somebody else's turn.
Can we do that?
Pay
Can
them
we
all
make a
back?
motion to pay them all at one time? Or do they have to be individual motion?
I think, honestly, I think they should just be individual, they're individual line items,
Okay.
so.
All right, it's your turn, Bob.
She's shaking her head. so. I'll make a motion, we pay Coleman Engineering, $13,733.25, project number 251248, invoice 59144.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Justardens to pay project number 251248, invoice 59144, in the amount of $13,733.25 to Coleman Engineering. Any more discussion?
Just one quick request. The notes are great, appreciate it, all that kind of jazz, but I know that with other notes that we've gotten on other invoices from other individuals, it would be cool if we got a name or initials or something from the people that are making the notes in the packet.
I think Michelle did this.
But Kelly and I worked on
Yeah,
those.
okay.
Yeah, well, and it just doesn't say it all, so.
I guess what would be the purpose of that, just?
Because we've got city staff, we've got your staff, we don't know who's actually making the recommendation.
It's not a
Or,
recommendation.
not the recommendation, but providing the information, and so it's a sourcing issue in terms of making sure that we know exactly who's providing the information. So,
Sorry.
what it is that the notes are new, they're really good, I like them, I wanna encourage that. What it is though is that now that we've taken this first step, the second step is to make sure that we know where the notes are coming from. So it's just a little bit of housekeeping that makes it clear if it's coming from in-house or other group, so.
So are you saying you wanna know who technician 23 is?
No.
No, cause these notes that are on here, I just wanna make sure that we know who's making those notes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, Coleman Engineering Washington Street Sewer invoice for $22,509.25.
What?
No.
Did I skip one again?
Yeah.
Oh, $2,200.
I was gonna say, I don't have one for 22.
You will, but not this item.
I'll make a
I'm really
motion,
sorry, guys.
we pay Coleman Engineering invoice 59143, project 231134, the amount of $22,215.75.
Okay. So moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, I'll give Jordan this one, supported by Commissioner Prunick to approve Coleman Engineering's invoice number 59143, project 231134, in the amount of $2,215.75. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 6, Coleman Engineering Washington Street Sewer invoice for $22,509.25.
Make a motion, we pay the invoice number 59151 to Coleman Engineering, project number 231135 for $22,509.25.
Support.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Prunick, supported by Commissioner Birch to pay invoice 59151 to Coleman Engineering for project 231135 in the amount of $22,509.25. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Do you have another one?
Yes, we do.
Yep, for the same, okay, Coleman Engineering Washington Street's water invoice for $2,215.75.
I'll make the motion that we accept and pay invoice number 59152 on project number 231136 for a total of $2,215.75.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Birch, supported by Commissioner Prunick to pay invoice 59152 for project 231136 in the amount of $2,215.75 to Coleman Engineering. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, we're getting through them. Item 8, Hall Contracting Incorporated, invoice for Tourist Park East Shower Building renovations for $49,701.85.
You satisfied with the progress, Michelle?
I am.
I move that we pay Hall invoice number 251401 in the amount of $44,731.66.
It's 49.
Support.
Wait a minute, it's 49.
Yeah, minus
Oh, the
retainage.
retainage, okay. So that is. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to pay invoice 2514-01 to Hall Contracting in the amount of $44,731.66. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund's lead service line replacement project, and this is a threefold. Item A, confirm the bond council, and it's recommended to utilize Miller Canfield.
We always do. I want to back up a little bit. We're replacing how many service lines, Ron?
They're at 191, I believe.
For $3 million.
Yeah. Well, you had street.
I'm gonna go buy an excavator and go into business. Me and you, buddy. Okay.
If you'd sit in the front row, we'd have another discussion about that.
That's 30 feet.
We have,
Yeah?
it's a lot of money. We have used Miller Canfield traditionally for bond council, and I recommend that we use them again.
Are you making that motion?
I will move that we confirm bond council as Miller Canfield.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to confirm Miller Canfield as our bond counsel for this project. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item A, motion carries. Okay. Item B is to approve the resolution, to approve the resolution authorizing publication of notice of intent to issue revenue bonds and declaring intent to reimburse for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund project.
I move we adopt the resolution.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to adopt the resolution as presented. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Wilkinson,
Aye.
Commissioner Justardens,
Yes.
Commissioner Bird,
Yes.
Commissioner Prunick,
Yes.
Mayor Barry.
Aye. That motion carries. Okay, item C, to confirm the financial advisors and authorize the city manager to sign the documents. And we have 3 bids that we do need to place on file.
Yeah, Michelle, I don't know if you're familiar, but I'm not familiar with having a financial advisor in addition to bond counsel.
It's a requirement of the project, and then the financial advisor, I guess my understanding is they help the state make sure that we are capable of, financially capable to do the bonding and repay. So it is a requirement for the project.
Anybody else got their hand out?
Right?
All right. And then is your recommendation that we,
Can we place the bonds on, or the bids on file?
yes, I recommend, or I'll move that we place the proposals and put, or accept the proposals and put them on file.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Prunick, to accept the proposals and bids and place them on file. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that part carries. Okay, I can go on to the second bid.
We have 3 or 2?
We have 3.
One is a very short one.
And your recommendation is that we use
Ben
Benzinski and Company?
Yes. We have used them for several projects in the past. They're working on some of our current projects. They also have the best price, and they did stop by City Hall to talk about their availability and how they would be a good fit for the project. And
Oh, very well.
The best.
They got a dollar amount in here? I didn't look.
It's first and second page.
yeah, put it somewhere.
There's third page actually here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is the breakdown.
Oh, it's right here. It's
Yeah,
page
go back to the first page.
13 and 15.
I do not have that page.
page 3.
I do not have.
No, it's
Yeah,
printed
yeah,
on
my
the
little
back
write-up.
side.
It's already up there.
There you go, now, there you go. right there.
Ah. That's a good place to hide that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the tabulation, okay.
I would make a motion that we accept Benzinski and Company bid for financial advising for this bonding process.
I'll support that.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Birch, supported by Commissioner Stones to accept the bid from Benzinski and Company for $13,000.
Ooh, and I also need authorization to sign
Yep.
there. Okay.
Oh, you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I will take that friendly amendment.
I will amend my support to authorize the city manager to sign it.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Birch, supported by Commissioner Justardens to accept the bid from Benzinski and Company for $13,850 and authorize Michelle, or the city manager, to proceed on the city's behalf. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't, yes, aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. I thought I had to do a little call vote. That's what I gotta do. Okay, item 10, Munising Bay Overlook Land Acquisition Resolution.
I thought this was a done
We
deal.
all did. Apparently, we haven't really formally done the resolution.
We've done it, I think there was there's been 1 or 2 resolutions on this project in the past. This is a different one to keep the project going. It's a pretty heavy, paperwork-heavy project. But this resolution is specifically for the trust fund grant portion.
Okay. And it considers the Forest Service part of local match?
Correct.
It's right there.
I don't know who's, anybody's familiar with this, but we're buying 376 acres of property up above, behind Cox Edition and Connors Road for $20,000.
Yep. Forest Services, we're applying for a $600,000 grant, and then the city's match is 20.
It's currently CFR. I move that we adopt the resolution, where is it here? On the back. I know I saw it.
It's here.
I know I got it. I move we adopt the resolution accepting the acquisition grant terms of agreement and committing to the match funding for the Munising Bay Overlook property.
And authorizing Michelle.
No
And
support.
authorize the city manager to sign on behalf of the city.
No support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens and supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to accept the resolution, accepting the acquisition grant terms of agreement and committing to the match funding for the Munising Bay Overlook property and authorizing the city manager to proceed with this project on behalf of the city. Any more discussion?
Yes. Resolution item, or number 5. To comply with any and all terms of said agreement, including all terms not specifically set forth in the foregoing portions of this resolution. If we have so many problems with the paperwork, and we've done, I think, 3 resolutions already, how many more are we expecting?
That's a good question that I don't have the answer to right off the top of my head. This is my first time. It is all I know is there's 2 grants working together. It's a fairly complicated process.
Anytime you're working with public monies, it's, I work
I can
with
try
USDA.
and get the answer to it, but I don't have it right now.
It's one of those things where it's kind of frustrating when, you know, the first time that this went through, we had the Conservation District came in. I know that was a Matt Waukke's Conservation District 10-year project, but I kind of feel like Munising Township has been informed a lot more about this project than we have. And now with the staff transfer and everything, it's kind of putting
Nothing's
us behind.
changed,
It's just,
the
yeah,
paperwork
like,
wasn't in, so
yeah.
nothing has changed about the project. You are as informed as, well, hopefully as you should be.
all right, well, it's the federal government, so we can't really say no. So it's more of a thought process exercise than
Yeah,
anything.
it's a lot, believe me, it's a lot of paperwork.
And Munising Township is aware.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's how I found out about this project, was it was attending the municipal council meeting.
Oh,
So,
noted.
but that was when I was a reporter, I wasn't when I was a commissioner.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or roll call?
Roll call, yeah. Can I make one more comment? Portion of this property is in Munising Township, is that correct?
Yes.
And I would recommend then that we cooperate or invite Munising Township into the recreational plan that we're going to develop for this property. Okay, I'm
Yep.
done.
No worries, okay, roll call, Mary.
Commissioner Wilkinson,
Aye.
Commissioner Justardens.
Aye.
Commissioner Burge,
Aye.
Commissioner Prunick, Mayor Barry.
Aye, motion carries. All right, item 11, water sewer rate discussion. Michelle, I'm gonna defer that to you.
All right, so basically, been putting this on the agenda for a couple weeks now. We had the independent water study, John Holland came up from Michigan Rural Water Association, evaluated our water sewer system. The water system currently does not take in enough money to cover its expenses and account for all of the like asset management and repair replacement costs that we should have. So the recommendation was a rate increase for the water side of the system. And that rate increase is about 13.9% total. And the sewer component of our system is bringing in enough money. We're covering our costs and accounting for the savings that we need to save. So the question is, how do we want to proceed? We've got a handout here that shows, it's a spreadsheet, it has a yellow highlight on there. It kind of walks us through what the current rate is for various households. And that assumes that people use about 1,000 gallons a month per person. So let's look at the 4 people, which would assume like a household of 4.
How much do you use?
1,000.
And it varies per person. Some people use more, some people use
Well, I
less.
just Googled it. The average person uses 3,000.
In Munising?
You would be
Well-
flush with cash if that was the case.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Right,
Where
that
where
could
did you
be,
get your, where's $1,000?
this is from the rate study. I'm just kind of going off there. We're just agreed, it is very variable based off of your bills. Also, So from the study, that's what I'm using the number for.
But if you start with something that's not correct, and you multiply it through a system,
Fair.
you end up with not correct information.
Okay, I think that's,
You know, I'm looking at this $70.47. I live alone. It's accurate for me.
1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons. I'm not much of a water buffalo though, you know. I grew up in the submarine navy. We got a gallon a week.
Shower once a month.
Go ahead, continue, Michelle.
I think that's a fair point, and if we need to come back and provide, you know, a different scenario, I'm very open to doing that. But for this thought exercise, we're gonna assume 1,000 gallons per person. We've got 4 people on this chart here, so typical family of 4. Their current bill is about $150 a month, 152.82 is what we calculated. If we just increase the water department using the CPI, which is essentially inflation, CPI stands for Consumer Price Index, the bill will go up about $7 to $159.
That's a CPI increase for water and sewer.
Yeah, water and sewer, thank you. If we incorporate the Rural Water Association increase for water and sewer, which is the 13% for the water and the CPI for the sewer side of the house, that bill can expect to go up by just over $10, yeah, $16 to $165.28. We can do a couple different things. We can, you know, the next column is CPI plus half of what the Michigan Rural Water Association recommended, and the household of 4 ends up at about $164 a month. Of course, there's like a ton of scenarios that we can run. But the last one that we have there is doing the CPI plus what the Rural Water Association recommended, and the family of 4 ends up at about $168 a month for their water bill. So that's, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
We have 3 enterprise funds in the city, water, sewer, and the marina. We are required by law to set fees high enough to cover operating expenses plus depreciation. So we really have no choice on what we set the rates. The rates have to be set, the minimum amount necessary to cover operating costs and depreciation for water, for sewer, and the marina fund. We have been increasing water and sewer at the CPI, which is CPI these days, it's all about 5%?
Yeah, it's in the, do you remember what it is? It's
4.6.
4.6. Every year automatically, and it's,
It fluctuates.
yeah, it's not keeping up with the cost of operating the water system. I feel, I don't see how we have a whole lot of latitude, but I would really like to see a comparison of all the water and sewer rates, not necessarily all of the water and sewer rates, in all the municipalities in the UP, at least the ones we can get. I assume that information
We
is
do,
available.
yeah, we do have that. I peeked at that, I didn't print it out for everybody. We're not high or low, we're kind of, yeah, we're comparable to comparable cities.
You know, so when people complain that our water rates are too high, I can show them this chart and say, no, they're not.
Well, do we have any kind of comparison of what, taking into consideration what you were saying with the depreciation and the wear and tear, and what it actually costs to run our water system? To make sure that we're in line and that, you know, that these rates are in line with what it does
I
take.
guess it's a lot of what you determine is.
And we have an
capital
exception,
improvements, right?
yeah, we can't afford to fund depreciation. So we have an exception to that.
Okay, but the other things that you were saying, if we had a clear picture of what the costs.
That's what the water rate study did.
That was it,
It's
okay.
all based on.
So these costs are,
Yeah, kind of at the bottom, it does,
Real.
we do have, and of course, you know.
oh, there it is.
Yeah, we've got, it's an estimate, so it's about 1.4 million to run the water system and about 1.9 to run the sewer system.
Just so, the public, when they're asking questions, we can say, well, look, this is what it does cost by law. We're required to cover these costs, and this is what we have to do.
Is there any way we can come up with, I mean, I don't know, when you send out water sewer bills, that how many, what an average two-person or four-person household uses? Because it's not 1,000 gallons.
Fair.
So, I mean, I know what we use as a two-person.
I think we can
Household.
pull that. I'm not super familiar with how easy that is to pull, but
We can
get that.
I would like to have that information. I'd like
We can
to-
tabulate usage per month for every household in the city.
Yeah.
As it's electronically metered, all that
Right.
data is available.
I mean, from the comparison aspect of it, I mean, 1,000 makes it really easy for the math and everything
Yeah,
else like
again,
that.
this was
you know,
from
so-
the study, it was already
Right,
calculated,
right,
I
but-
didn't have to do all the work again for different numbers, so that is why I picked that.
What's difficult though, now that we're in this position though, is that we have to go in and we have to try to figure out what the actual increase is gonna be. Like, I mean, looking at this, a 13% increase is a whole nother month of water bill to pay. That is a lot for people to ask. That also, I would probably say, for more accurate numbers, I mean, this is bigger than some of the other higher complained about fees that have come around. I also question whether or not that after a 13% increase that we would still be in the middle, or if we would be high comparatively to everybody else, because that number is now. And if we're in the middle now, and then we raise it by 13%, there's no way we stay in the middle.
That's true, I guess my question would be, how do we operate, or how do we address the operational costs?
That's, I guess, where I was kind of trying to go with it.
I believe it's a requirement of our bonding on the water and sewer project that we raise it at least
CPI.
to CPI minimum.
And I don't have a problem with CPI. CPI makes sense. There's nothing wrong with, fighting the Fed with inflation. Because it's always a challenge for everybody, But something like this, when we know that it's gonna come through, it might be easier to maybe take a 3-year step project where we can raise it by, incrementally, so that way in 3 years, we're at where we need to be. We can even be a little bit higher than what the average MRW might be to make it all even out, but that way we can at least make it more feasible for families to have a shot.
I think that's fair.
I would ask Michelle that when we get to approving the fee schedule as part of the budget,
I would like to do it before that.
well, we do it before that, generally at the same meeting, no? That we have those 3 options for water, CPI plus half of the recommended, it's 13%, and then plus the full amount.
Sure.
And we will decide then.
Anybody else have?
But wait, just, what time frame were you thinking? Like before the budget or next
Well,
week?
typically, we adopt the fee schedule as part of the budget adoption process at the same meeting.
I
The same
agree,
meeting
I
we
guess,
levy the tax.
agreed, I guess my ask would be to consider it before that, so if we do have a rate increase, we have time to
We certainly, we can do that.
do some education and let people know what's coming.
I know we talked about it, Michelle and Chris. Do you think it would be beneficial to have John come back in for like a public
Outreach.
presentation for what the presentation we had? I know that was public, and I guess we can get it on our recordings, but just so the public can kind of see what we know. as
Well, yeah, I think as much public education as we can do. If we're contemplating a 13+% increase in the water, keep in mind that the water is the smaller portion of the water and sewer bill. So at least we're not considering a 13% increase on the water and the sewer, or on the sewer. And my question on the sewer would be, is the fact that we have leachate revenue the reason that the sewer fund is stable?
Not stable.
That doesn't,
These revenue numbers that you see do not include either septic treatment or leachate revenue.
okay. It's a thorny problem, and nobody's gonna be happy with the result.
We have already asked John Holland to come back in December to see whichever increase you guys choose, what shape we're looking at come December.
Is there a model that he uses, Ron?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, having never had a water or sewer rate survey,
Yes, we've had the exact same one.
I mean, I've never seen one before. And I wonder, is there a model out there that would recommend a different percentage increase? I mean,
Not likely.
okay,
I mean, it's all based on what your expenses are and what projects you're planning on going with.
This does, the rural water increase recommendation did take into account the two water projects and the increased debt service associated with those as well.
Yeah.
2 water projects you're talking about.
Washington Street and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
We're doing sewer on Washington Street too.
We are,
But just-
that was also included, but their Michigan Rural Water recommended CPI for the sewer.
All right.
So, more to come. I saw, in your report, you said, end of March or next meeting, or maybe the first meeting in April?
Yeah, when do we think we'll be, I can definitely put together some of the budget scenarios that we talked about today and present them at the next meeting. Do we, end
I think the most,
an April
the
decision?
community that is closest to Munising in size and in facilities is Manistee.
Okay,
So if it could at least include Manistee and Newberry, but Newberry has power and light.
right. And of course, obviously, just caution when we're comparing ourselves to other communities. They have
Ishpeming,
different
Nani.
infrastructure. It's not necessarily apples to apples.
As many as possible.
Okay, yeah, we definitely have that list. I can.
Our disadvantage is the lower number of people. We still have a lot of.
Yeah, you said the infrastructure.
Do the number of snowbirds we have an effect on that?
Yeah.
Would we have 500? That's what, somebody threw a 500 number at me, but I think that was for the county.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That seems low for the county.
It's considerable in the winter, how much the water drops off.
Yeah, usage is down.
And these revenue numbers that you're looking at down in the second table are based on gallons over like an average over the 3 years. The previous 3 that we've actually metered and billed for.
Right.
Okay,
Well, that was fun.
moving on. All right, item 12, Anderson Tackman engagement letter. This basically is a letter and an agreement that we're going to engage with Anderson Tackman for 26, 27, and 28. Just our continuing auditing services. Want to add anything to that, Michelle?
No.
I move we approve the Anderson Tackman engagement letter.
That's board.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson, to approve the Anderson Tackman engagement letter as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 13, marina policy approval. Policy.
You want to borrow mine?
I
I have one question.
That's okay. No, I read them all, so.
I have one question, Michelle. Paragraph 3, facility information, it states seasonal vessels leaving the marina overnight should log the trip with the marina staff in the logbook at the harbor master office. Slips shall be available for let to transient boaters if a seasonal vessel is out of the marina for more than 24 hours.
Correct.
So it should be a let to it can be let to transient voters for no longer than the anticipated
Yeah,
absence.
Eddie has tabs on that and make
Yeah,
sure that.
because I mean, it seems to me if you take off for 24 hours, that's it, we're renting your slip out to somebody else for as long as they want. And I have a question on, what are the effective dates of this policy?
March the 2nd.
May 15th through October 15th?
Oh, I see
These
what you're saying.
policies, I should say.
Right, yeah, when the marina.
So you know what the next question is gonna be on, about fishing.
Oh.
That's not part of this.
It
Yeah,
is,
that's not part of
it
that.
is part
But
of
we
it.
can make a policy for that.
It is part of this.
I know, I'm kidding you.
It says here
Currently no fishing allowed
Yep.
that fishing is allowed
outside the L.
on the outside of the LDOC only. And that should say a municipal pier, because it's not an LDOC anymore. Ice fishing has been a traditional pastime inside the LDOC. There's really good perch fishing inside the LDOC. In recent years, we have deliberately created unsafe ice conditions by pointing our pier bubblers towards the dock and bubbling air out horizontally instead of vertically. And if we are going to continue to do that, we need to put signage down there saying that conditions are unsafe and that fishing is not allowed inside the LDOC, even in the winter. Now, I am of the opinion that we should allow fishing inside the municipal, inside the old L in the winter, and that we should put our bubblers pointed down so that we don't deliberately create unsafe ice conditions.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a question I want to run by Bill to see what liability we would have from those scenarios.
Okay,
The whole idea of the mixers is to prevent damage to.
well, to the floating piers. And these bubblers are used all over the marina, I mean, all over the bay. If you go down and Pete Lindquist has got him at his dock, and they point straight down because that is the structure you're trying to protect. That structure where the bubbler is. With the bubblers pointed horizontally, the air bubbles go out underneath the ice until they meet an obstruction, which is the LDOC itself. And they create an air bubble underneath the ice, which makes it unsafe. We have had a person drown down there. It wasn't in the winter. But the liability that we're creating should be addressed.
Noted.
So, back to my original question, when are these policies in effect? Between May 15th and October 15th?
Well, are you, good question. Based off of your previous comment, let me loop back to you, but otherwise it is intended for the marina operational season.
Okay, we don't need to adopt them tonight? Or do we?
Well,
These have already been sent out.
yeah, they've been.
Yeah,
sent
this is
out
kind of a
packets.
formal, just to formalize their use,
They're
I guess.
sent out before they're adopted?
I wasn't, to be honest, I was operating under the understanding that they did not need approval, and that might have been
I don't know
incorrect.
that they do,
Right.
Well, I guess I was thinking just
but
as a
they're on the agenda.
formality.
Why are we limiting this to seasonal then? I mean, if we're gonna have a policy and a procedure, why don't we just have it from
Oh, yeah, I
from
guess,
April 1st to March 31st?
I mean, technically, it's kind of an all-year thing, but it focuses on when the marina is open.
For the cold slips.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
then it should say that it's effective year-round.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can
And we
So-
revise that.
And there are a couple typos in here anyway.
Yeah, circle them and let me know so we can get that updated.
No, so looking at the season schedule, the Bay Shore Marina will be open at May 15th and closed on October 15th. If it's closed, then why are you in there fishing? Like, it seems like that's a trespassing issue at that point because there is no access to the marina, which is a completely different issue.
There is access when there's ice on the bay. There's access from shore.
The season schedule is for the boat slips.
Right.
I think that while fishing is important, and I don't want to take away from any of the aspects of this, for the fishing aspect, if this is for the Bayshore Marina and the boat slips, then the concept of ice fishing doesn't even apply at any point, because either this is for the boats and for the slips, or this is for the location, and the location, even if you have access to it, if the marina is closed, then we're talking about parking, and we're talking about private property that's in there with the boat slips and everything else, then we have every right to close that to the public after October 15th, which is essentially a different issue. I
disagree with that. We're talking bottomlands here now. If I can access the water inside the LDOC from Veterans Memorial Drive across public property, not touching any marina fixture whatsoever. You know, if you want to make, if you can make this easy by making the policies in effect from May 15th until October 15th.
Is the question we're trying to answer is, can we ice fish there or not?
That's the question
Okay.
I'm trying to answer.
All right. Right now, that is a no.
Can I just add a comment that you might not have thought about?
Might as well.
We accepted trust fund, Michigan State Trust Fund money to build those docks. That trust fund comes from the state of Michigan with some catches. And that is trust fund, and I suspect when you sign that agreement, to accept that money, you have to allow fishing out there.
On the inside or the
Anywhere.
outside?
Anywhere that dock is. I would say, I always question how you could lock the gate on the dock, accepting those funds. That's public property when you accept that money.
Well, it's interesting coming from you, John, is because when we have boats parked in there, we certainly don't want fishing in there.
If a kid wants to fish down there, unless he's, jumping on our boat, I don't really care.
I don't care either.
I mean, and I think we should have more kids fishing.
And there's, yeah, I agree. Kids who fish don't rape little old ladies, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
I've never kicked, unless they're throwing the damn sinker at the windows.
I agree.
okay, maybe that's something that
But
we'll get
I
to.
think you should check into the trust fund.
I
think you're in
I
violation.
was just going to suggest that, thank you, is to look into the trust fund to see.
I hate to be a stickler on this, but it's
I think
really
it's
good
great.
perch fishing
Yeah.
down there.
That's
Great.
Best perch fishing in the bay.
Okay,
Wish Chum Steinoff was here, boy, he'd give me.
18 cribs, right, 22.
all right, let's, keep on topic here,
Do you want to adopt it? I'm going to vote against it, as is.
or bring it back with,
Then I move we table.
I'll support.
okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Birch, to table the adoption of the policies and procedures for Bay Shore Marina. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, item 14, discuss roundtable concept. Bob, I'm gonna defer to you.
At the planning commission, we do this. There's a lot of things that come up through the meeting, or through whatever meeting we're at, that isn't necessarily an agenda item, but it's an ancillary question, comment. We don't do that here. And I think we should be able to. I think we can limit it to 4 minutes or 2 minutes, I don't care. But I think there's things that come up through the course of the meeting that we should be able to discuss. Not necessarily do any, not taking votes on anything, but I think it could be informational. It could be a question to ask you or Michelle or somebody that we could get on the agenda for the next time.
I totally agree. I think, because the public comment limits us to a comment, and there's no discussion that goes on with it. And a lot of our comments, we want to answer back at. So I definitely agree that it could be at the end of the meeting, and just have roundtable discussion. Chamber does it, DDA does it.
Yeah, but they're not held the Open Meetings Act.
Is everybody allowed to do?
If we
But
have,
if it's-
if we have 3 commissioners reasoning towards a decision on any subject that's not on the agenda, it's a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
So the catch on that, on the backside of it, is that if we have 3 people that are trying to figure out if we can put it on the agenda, then that creates a roundabout meeting. So when dealing with some of this kind of stuff in the past, it's been very difficult to talk about things because either I'm told that we won't have the votes, which implies a polling, which is a violation of the Open Meetings Act based off of a case in Marquette when they illegally fired their city attorney. We try to talk about an issue with the same subject because we have, I know there was times where I wanted to make a comment about the information rollout to Safe Routes to School, but it was different points than what you had made beforehand, and I was just shut down. And I let it go that time, but then the next time, thinking that things went through, that's when I got egg on my face on social media. I made my apologies in that venue, but it's been difficult to figure out where to actually make these points. And I feel more comfortable either having a dedicated commissioner comment that's not interrupted, or the concept of using the threshold aspect, which is if somebody asks a question, then we can respond in kind with information, and then if we feel like we're getting to a point where it might be too rough, then we put it on the agenda for next meeting. That seems to be the best way, because the other thing too is that with us having only 5, the second that you bring in a third person, we hit quorum. A lot of these techniques that are used in bigger chambers, they've got 7, they've got 9, they've got 252, we can't use. So we have to find some other technique to get this communication going.
I would put a time limit on it.
Yeah, I think we should have this conversation with the city attorney present.
Then let's table it till the
You know,
next meeting.
I know where you're going, Bob, and I appreciate the need for it, or the desire for it, but I think we should have this conversation with the city attorney present to
Okay,
get his take on it.
Okay.
do you wanna make a motion?
I move we table this till the
yeah.
next meeting. Will he be here?
He should be, right?
I haven't heard any different, but.
You won't be?
No.
Well, I'll make your argument for you, Bob.
I appreciate it.
Can I have a second or support on that?
I'll support.
Been moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Prunick to table the roundtable discussion concept until the next meeting when city attorney can be present. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Correspondence, there is none. Public comment, 4-minute limit.
It's warm in here.
I think it was a good conversation today about the water. I have kept my water bills, if you can believe it, for almost 20 years. And I
I
have,
see him.
yeah, and I have not a study on them, I have reality. And I did a little bit of work on it, but the water rates in the last 15 years have more than doubled, and CPI has gone up about 50%. We have to fund the water in this community, and we have to have good water, and I appreciate the water department. But when we make comments like 1,000 gallons a person at a meeting, that is just an error, and then we want to approve something, I think you're starting down a bad path with information that most people don't believe. Now, if it was 2,000 and we need a rate, but let's get the facts out there and let's support it. I'm concerned about this community. I'm concerned, not for me, I'm concerned about the older people and the people that are just getting by. You can hit them, and the baloney about inflation at 3%, that is ridiculous in the last 5 years if you go to the grocery store. It's just totally ridiculous. Our utility rates here, it's totally ridiculous, 3%. And it's kind of a bad situation is you raise the rates so they try to use less water, so you need to raise the rates more because you're losing revenue. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm not here trying to say I do know the answer to it, but I think we gotta be realistic with what people use and fund it properly. I would like to know more about that fund because I looked at the water fund and the sewer fund, and to me, they look like they're profitable for the city, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but are we making money in those funds? Does anybody have that answer?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can get that answer for you.
So if we don't know if we're not making money, why are we raising them?
Oh,
We'd know if we're not making money. We can't answer the question to engage in a debate, John. This is public comment period.
So even at the lower rates, with the median income of this community, which is about $61,208, the water percent of that gross income is over 3%. Just food for thought for the people that are right on the line or maybe below the line. And now we're gonna give them a 13% increase. And maybe we need it. I'm not saying we don't need it, but I'm just concerned that the future people that wanna build in the community or retire in this community, that's gonna be a consideration for them, whether they come to Munising or go to the township. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Prunier to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.